every single signature of Joe Biden's during his presidency was signed using an Autopen.
These executive orders or laws that Joe Biden signed may not actually be valid if he, in fact, didn't sign them.
Investigators are finding that most of Biden's signatures, almost all of them, were done by an Autopen machine. That is, he did not sign them in person. There was no eyewitness. They were just auto-signed by a machine. This is a common practice. Autopens have been used before, but with Biden's signature, almost all of them do. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel as I quickly give you an update on the Autopen scandal. So first up, this is the Oversight Project Autopen update. We analyzed Biden's January 19th, 2025 pardons for the Biden family members, Anthony Fauci, General Milley, J6 Committee, and Gerald Lundgren. They all have this exact same Biden Autopen signature. Look at this. You'll see all of them, no matter what corner they all come in, they're identical. So that's the kind of evidence that we're doing. Let's take a look at this actual machine of the Autopen signature. This is how it works.
You are looking at the Ghostwriter by Automated Signature Technology.
I'm just going to turn the volume down because it's a little loud.
And can help you manage your time and increase your efficiency by allowing the option of delegating your signature. Use of the machine is simple, as after printing your letter, you insert your signature card in the Ghostwriter. The signature card is similar to a credit card in that no one can use it unless you give it to someone else. Once inserted, line your letter up with the signature area, and then either press a button on the panel or press a pedal that comes with the machine to begin signing.
So if you're pressing a pedal, then isn't that the person that decided to make the signature and not Joe Biden? There's a lot more homework on this being done now out in the blogosphere.
Wild. An investigation done by the Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project discovered that almost every single signature of Joe Biden's during his presidency was signed using an Autopen, meaning that all of the documents that he signed were being used by a computer-saved signature and not done by hand. They found that almost every signature was Autopen, except for one of the most famous ones on the letter where he was announcing he was...
Okay, hold on. That means almost all of these signatures that you see on camera, the document is already signed. You know what I mean? Biden's not signing it live on camera. He's fake signing it, and an Autopen had already signed it. Or all these documents would show up with a handwritten signature on it.
Was dropping out for running for president last election. As you can see here, Autopen, and then here it is on the letter of him dropping out of the race. Clearly a different signature, and you can see also it is underlined. Now, Autopen is not new. It's legally been around for the president since 2005, since President Bush's presidency, but it's typically used while presidents are on vacation, like Barack Obama in 2013. The 60 plus days that President Trump has been president, we've watched him by hand sign a whole lot of executive orders and documents. So now people are bringing up the 7 pardons that were signed on January 19th, President Joe Biden's last day in office, saying that they were all Autopen. Other people are more concerned with that signature with the underline that was used when he dropped out of the race, wanting to bring in question different clemency orders and pardons that were signed using that same underline signature, quite different from the Autopen.
And that signature, I would argue, matches Jill Biden's signature more, so she might have signed it on his behalf when he stepped out of office.
Now, could President Joe Biden have had 2 totally different signatures? Absolutely. But with his cognitive decline, there are a lot of questions that are coming up.
Let's move on to the next one here.
Press Secretary, many are concerned about the validity of President Biden's official actions and also his pardons of the possible criminal actions of individuals such as his family members and Liz Cheney, as information is emerging that many of his official actions were auto-signed, possibly even the pardons, and without his knowledge or consent. Does the White House have any information available currently that Biden was actually the one that approved and signed those pardons? And second question, will the DOJ investigate whether President Biden's cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through radical policy and pardons without his knowing approval?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can check in with our folks here who may know the answer to that question.
This is Alina Habba over on the Benny Johnson show.
As an attorney, like forging a signature is obviously a very serious crime. You can't uphold a document if it was fraudulent, if the individual didn't sign it or have any understanding that this is what power of attorney is actually. And so are you making the case, some legal scholars at Heritage Foundation have made this case, that these executive orders or laws that Joe Biden signed may not actually be valid if he in fact didn't sign them?
I think if you sign any document and you don't have capacity, the mental capacity and inability to know what you're signing, it does challenge the validity of a document.
And to me, that's the real question is Biden in the Her report said that he was incompetent. I mean, basically, but they didn't want to charge him or push it on him because he couldn't stand before a jury. So I think it's pretty obvious. In fact, how bad was he that he had to step out of a race? That's how incompetent he was.
It's not something that I've looked into as of yet. Obviously, this is new news, but I will definitely be recommending that we look into it. I think that it's strange. I would really like to know, most importantly, who signed it. If he knew that it was being signed, obviously it's not a fake signature, it's an auto signature. But the point is, it's inappropriate. You are the commander in chief. This is big deal stuff that you're doing. And to see that most were auto signatures, that's concerning. That's really concerning. We have to look into it.
It's not inappropriate or illegal that there were auto signatures, just to be clear. Alina Habba's off a little bit on this one. It's only, I don't care how you can legally use an Autopen signature, but if it doesn't reflect Biden's actual will, that goes back to an earlier Mike Johnson statement that he made earlier in the year, where he said, look, I asked Biden about a bill that he signed and he had no recollection that he'd signed it. And then Mike Johnson said, but I saw your signature, and Biden still had no recollection. So could it be that that they were signing documents on his behalf without his recollection? That would be an illegal use of a signing document. Now, here's something from the Mike Lindell channel.
Last year, we exclusively reported that then President Joe Biden was using an Autopen to sign documents. Now, after an extensive investigation led by the House Republicans, Fox News and other outlets are catching up with our original reporting. In fact, former President Joe Biden did not sign most of the executive orders he supposedly authorized. Here's our friend Gabrielle Kachia, who once worked in the White House records office during the Trump administration and the Obama administration and managed the Autopen, telling us last summer about how Joe Biden wasn't actually signing those executive orders.
I can say with certainty, the executive clerk's office is certainly getting the Autopen instructions more often than not compared to any other administration to date. I can absolutely say that with confidence. So there's, you say Biden, did he sign this or did he not? Well, when was the last time that Biden physically signed anything? If you remember during President Trump, I remember having to print out documentation on lovely bond paper, handing it over to President Trump, and him physically signing it in the Oval Office and turning it over for press, come one, come all, to see and record and take photos and all of that. And you don't see that with President Biden on purpose.
Exactly. This, of course, has prompted endless speculation as to who exactly was really running the White House. Because if Biden relied on Autopen for most of his executive orders, what are the chances that he even knew what were even in those executive orders? Even
if Biden was signing the document, I don't think he would know what's in the executive orders. I don't think he even knows what he's doing. And so it is his will, certainly not behind the criminal pardons. When Biden was on vacation and suddenly he released a bunch of murderers, did he know individually who each person was? I doubt it. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this one is like all teed up and ready to go, guys. This is not a huge stretch of the imagination. Here's more. One last clip here. I wanted to get to this on the pardons.
But if you look at these presidential pardons, they need to be signed with a wet signature. They're not. They're signed with an Autopen. So what should happen to them is they should get tossed out. And I think as we continue this investigation, we're going to figure out who was actually making the calls when to apply the Autopen, use the Autopen. Towards the end of last year, Biden's golfing in the Virgin Islands. Pardons are coming out with his signature on it and a marking saying this document was signed in Washington, D.C. Wow. Those two things don't work together.
No, they don't. As we know, you can't be in two places at the same time, but go on. We're
going to have a lot more. Obviously, since this kind of went viral over the weekend, we've had a lot of legal experts reach out. A lot of important people are feeding us new information. We're using all sorts of technology to go through these signatures, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg.
The tip of the iceberg, guys. It's going to get much deeper and much darker. Of course, it blew up over the weekend, and we were ahead of that. So if you have subscribed to this show, then you're ahead of the rest of the... Every once in a while, we get one right. Every once in a while, we get way ahead of people. We reported on this back in January, okay, with that original obscure Mike Johnson quote, because we cover Mike Johnson so much. That's how I was able to tap into the story so early. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Do they nail Biden on this one, or whoever is in control of the country? Is it Jill Biden that actually pulled the trigger on these signatures? Is it Barack Obama? Is it Hillary? Or did Biden himself push the button on the auto pen when he could just sign a document? I'm Doug in exile.